All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a deep dive into One Piece, chapter 1134, heading straight to Elbaf, the Island of Giants.
Yeah, it's a pretty big chapter.
It really is. Tons to unpack, tons of fan reactions, analyses.
Lots of twists and turns.
So even if you're not caught up, don't worry. We'll make sure you're on deck with us, catching all the key moments.
It really shows how Oda can, blend those heartwarming moments with those big reveals.
Absolutely. Keeps us wanting more, right? And speaking of heartwarming, let's talk Robin and Saul. Finally, that reunion was...
Years in the making.
Yeah, really gets you, huh?
It's more than just a reunion, though,
Yeah.
It shows Robin's whole journey, from that hunted child always running to finding a place she belongs.
Right.
This reunion with Saul, it shows her strength, her resilience.
Totally changes how we see her joining the Straw Hats, right? It wasn't just survival anymore. It was
Family.
finding a family that accepts her.
Exactly. And speaking of the Straw Hats, you see the reactions to this reunion, and Egg Shikai, you gotta love it. They're not just happy for her, they're really moved.
It's that deep care they have for each other. You really see how far they've come as a crew.
They're more than just pirates, they're family.
Yeah. And families celebrate together, right? Big or small. But there's this one detail that caught everyone's eye. Luffy thanking Saul. It's so formal, almost like a,
Yakuza boss.
yeah, like what's with that? Totally out of character.
It's got the whole fandom buzzing. Something maybe he picked it up from someone he admires, like Shanks or Rayleigh.
Oh, yeah, could be.
Others think it's a hint. Maybe something deeper connected to that Will of D mystery.
Ooh, now that's interesting. Like Oda's planting a little seed, making us wonder what'll grow from it.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears, talk about Vegapunk's clone. Turns out he sent it to Elbaf years ago, a decoy.
It's a big one. Really adds to this whole concept of death in One Piece. We've seen characters come back, but a full-body clone.
Raises a lot of questions.
It does. Identity, consciousness.
If this clone has all of Vegapunk's memories, his personality, is it the same person? What does this mean for other characters we thought were gone? Could they come back through cloning, too?
It's a huge ethical question Oda's thrown at us. I can't wait to see how it plays out. But while we're talking about who's alive and who isn't, let's not forget the giants over in Elbaf. Their whole culture seems to be changing.
Yeah, they're moving away from being warriors all the time. Seems like they're going for something more peaceful.
Almost reminds you of the Vikings. They went from raiding to trading and exploring.
It does, doesn't it? Makes you wonder, when a society that's all about strength and battles suddenly chooses peace?
Big changes.
Yeah, how do they hold on to who they are while the world's changing around them? And it seems like not everyone in Elbaf is on board with this whole peace thing. Prince Loki, he's not happy about it.
Definitely some tension there.
Could this cause even bigger problems down the road?
Could be. Loki's a bit of a mystery still, but his scenes with this Mose character, it's like there's more to him than we thought. A protective side, maybe? Makes you wonder what he's really after.
Yeah. Villain. Or something more complex. This chapter definitely gave us a lot to think about when it comes to Loki, but before we get too deep into Elbaf's culture, gotta talk about the big reveal, right? Not Shanks.
What a shocker.
Really shook the fandom. Someone who looks exactly like Shanks shows up on Elbaf, arriving through the same kind of summoning circle the Gorosei used, that old theory about Shanks having a twin.
Maybe it's true.
And the timing. Elbaf changing, Loki's ambitions, not Shanks, coming and throws everything into question. What's he gonna do, friend or foe? And how will this change the balance of power in this already kind of crazy situation?
So many questions. We'll be exploring those as we go deeper into the chapter. But before that color spread at the beginning, that Super Frankie robot.
Yeah, that was awesome.
A great tribute to Kazuki Yao, Frankie's voice actor. He announced his retirement recently.
It's a lovely gesture. You can see how much he meant to the series. And that robot...
Classic Frankie.
Exactly. Shows his genius, the legacy of the Straw Hats. Even as the story moves forward, gets more intense, that spirit of adventure, those bonds of friendship.
They're at the core of it all.
Exactly. They stay strong. But we also got this bombshell about the history of the One Piece world. Saul mentions that the Emperor system, it's been around for 22 years. Seems like a small detail, but...
It's huge for the timeline.
yeah. It means someone was an emperor even before Shanks, maybe even before Roger. Who was this person? What happened to them? And how does it all fit into the bigger story? It's like Oda's constantly peeling back layers of history, showing us a past that's way more complex than we thought.
It really is, and it makes you realize even the tiniest
These
details.
can be important.
Absolutely. And speaking of important details, let's not forget about Kuma. The fact that they're trying to restore him.
Yeah, we might finally learn what happened to him. Poor guy. But knowing Oda,
It's not going to be simple.
no way. Coom's connection to Bonnie adds this whole other layer of sadness to it.
It's going to be heavy.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be tied to these big conflicts happening in the world.
It's how Oda does it, right? He mixes those personal journeys with the big events, creates a world that feels both intimate and huge.
So much packed into one chapter.
I know, we're just scratching the surface here.
Barely.
But hold on tight, because in part 2, we're going to dig way deeper into not Shanks, explore those crazy fan theories, and uncover Elbaf's connections to the whole world of One Piece.
Welcome back. We left off, well, kind of reeling from that not Shanks thing.
Definitely a shocker. The whole One Piece fandom's been buzzing about it.
Theories everywhere.
It's moments like this you gotta just step back and, man, Oda knows how to keep us hooked.
Even after all these years, right?
It's amazing. But let's try to unpack this, the big theory.
Not Shanks is actually Shanks' twin brother.
Yeah, it's been around for a while, but this chapter...
Makes it seem pretty possible.
What's interesting, though, is that it doesn't outright confirm it.
Right, classic Oda. Just enough to spark our imaginations.
Exactly. That's what keeps us engaged, you know? We put the clues together, make our own interpretations.
It's like a giant puzzle, and we get a few more pieces each chapter. But what do we know about not Shanks? He was right there with the Gorosei during the reverie. That means he's got to be connected to the world government somehow.
And not just connected, maybe even a high-ranking position, like
A holy knight.
possibly the strongest warriors directly under the Celestial Dragons. If not Shanks is part of that, it raises all sorts of questions. Who's he loyal to? What's his game? It's crazy, right? I mean, we know Shanks, the pirate, strong moral compass, but his brother, what if he's the opposite?
Totally. Aligned with the very forces Shanks seems to oppose.
That dynamic would be incredible, a clash of beliefs right in the same family.
The classic good versus evil, played out through siblings. Think Cain and Abel or Luke and Vader. It's like this basic human fascination, that fight between light and dark, even within families. But hold on, we got to talk about the woman with not Shanks. Who is she?
Right. Complete mystery. But that hidden face, the bandaged mouth, makes you think, right?
There's a story there. Secrets, maybe even tragedy in her past.
Exactly. It's like Oda's giving us these little hints on purpose, making us curious. Is she a prisoner? Or did something terrible happen to her? Or maybe she's actually powerful, hiding her identity for some strategic reason.
Ooh, good point. Some fans think she could even be a clone, like maybe of someone important from the past.
Cloning's been hinted at in One Piece before. And with Vegapunk's clone showing up in this chapter, too, it's like...
A connection for sure.
Yeah. Is Oda saying cloning is going to be a big deal in this saga?
Definitely something to watch for. But while we're trying to figure out not Shanks and his mysterious friend, remember that owl library in Elba?
Oh, yeah. Such a cool moment, especially for Robin. Can you imagine being a scholar who's devoted her whole life to uncovering lost history and suddenly, bam, a library full of texts everyone thought were gone forever?
It's like a dream come true. And the name Owl Library, it's got to be important. Owls, they represent wisdom, knowledge, seeing in the dark. It's like that pursuit of truth, even when it's hidden.
Powerful symbolism. This library. It's hope. A place where knowledge is protected could even hold the keys to solving One Piece's biggest mysteries.
Right. And built by the giants, people who clearly value learning and preservation. In a world full of power struggles and fighting, it's a reminder.
That some people fight to protect the past makes you think, maybe not Shanks showing up. It's not just about changing who's in charge.
Maybe it's about challenging Elbaf itself, their whole identity.
Right. Like, what if he wants to bring back their warrior ways? Undo all that progress towards peace?
Wow. That would make his arrival even more intense, wouldn't it? Not just a threat to the world order, but to Elbaf's very soul. But let's get back to that potential clash between Shanks and his brother. All this Norse mythology in the chapter. Skull and Heidi, those wolves chasing the sun and moon.
People have been pointing that out for years. Oda loves mythology, and that Norse connection is super strong in Elbaf. Could not Shanks coming here be what kicks off that legendary battle?
Could be. He could be Hati, the wolf who devours the moon, going up against Shanks' skull, chasing the sun.
And then there's Luffy, right, his Gear 5 connected to the sun god Nika. Is he going to get pulled into this cosmic fight? Will HE be the one to tip the scales towards the light? Even if it means fighting someone who looks exactly like his hero, Shanks?
I don't even know. And remember that weird formal way Luffy talked to Saul? What if that wasn't just a random thing?
Right, maybe it hints at something more
Yeah, like Luffy's tapping into some power, some knowledge.
that he doesn't even fully get yet.
Oda's a master at foreshadowing. Something that seems small now could be huge later on. But let's not jump ahead too far. We still got to unpack this chapter. We haven't even got to those crazy fan theories.
I know, we're just starting to explore all the possibilities, but maybe we save those wild theories for part 3. Spend the rest of this part really digging into what not Shanks being here could mean.
Good idea.
Yeah.
We've talked about the symbolism, the mythology, but what about how it actually changes the world of One Piece? This totally throws off the balance of power. It's like dominoes are about to start falling, could lead to a huge war.
Absolutely. The Marines, the Yonko, the Revolutionaries, they're all fighting for control already. And now we've got not Shanks, a wild card. He could break up alliances, make new ones.
Maybe even start a war that covers the whole Grand Line.
It's like that chess game, and suddenly the stakes are way higher. What's not Shanks gonna do next? Is he coming for Shanks directly, Luffy and the Straw Hats?
Or does he have a plan we haven't even thought of yet?
And don't forget about Emu, that mysterious figure controlling everything from the shadows. Could not Shanks be part of Emu's plan? Or is he a loose cannon even Emu can't handle?
So many possibilities. That's why One Piece is so addictive, right? We're all trying to figure it out, how it all connects.
And Oda's always one step ahead.
Like, he's playing 4D chess while we're still learning the rules of the regular kind.
But that's what makes it fun, isn't it? It's not about knowing all the answers. It's about the mystery, enjoying the ride.
This chapter, though, it's been quite a ride. Robin and Saul, not Shanks, all these potential world-changing events. It reminds you, One Piece isn't just a pirate story. It's about human nature, history's twists and turns.
It's about using your imagination.
You said it. But we need to pace ourselves. Let's take a break, then come back for those wild fan theories.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We've been through a lot with Chapter 1134, the reunions, the reveals, the power plays. Now it's time for the fun part, right? The wild fan theories.
Gotta love the One Piece fandom. The creativity is off the charts.
It's incredible. They pick up on the tiniest clues, things even the pros miss sometimes. They're like foreshadowing detectives. So let's start with the big one. The theory that not Shanks is a D.
Oh yeah, that's been gaining traction.
Yeah.
Ever since that scene with the Gorosei.
Right. Makes you think. If he IS a D, I mean, that's huge. He'd be a direct threat to the world government.
Maybe even a rival to Luffy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both carrying the will of D.
2 brothers fighting for the fate of the world. Man, that would be epic. A clash of ideologies that could change everything.
Almost Shakespearean, that level of drama. But we gotta remember, this is all theory right now. We don't actually know he's a D.
True, true. Could be his connection to the Gorosei is something else entirely.
What if he's working undercover, trying to bring down the world government from the inside?
Ooh, like a spy.
It's happened before. Remember Rosinante, Doflamingo's brother, pretending to be a Marine, but secretly working against them?
To protect the law? Expose Doflamingo?
Exactly. Maybe not Shanks is playing the long game, using his position to chip away at the Celestial Dragons, that whole system.
Risky move, though, if that's the case. Those Gorosei, they're not easily tricked.
Definitely a dangerous game if that's what he's doing. Speaking of dangerous, remember that mystery woman who showed up with not Shanks?
Oh, the theories about HR.
Some are pretty out there. Clones, lost princesses, you name it. But one of the most interesting ones is that she's connected to the Void Century. That 100-year gap the world government's been hiding.
What if she's a descendant of one of those ancient kingdoms that got wiped out?
Maybe that's why her face is hidden. Scars from ancient battles, lost civilizations. Or maybe she's protecting herself, keeping her identity secret, so those who want to silence her can't find her.
That would explain the bandages, the whole mysterious vibe.
It would, and it connects to another theory about that owl library in Elbaf.
Oh yeah, the one Robin found.
What if it is lost poneglyphs, those ancient tablets that tell the truth about the Void Century?
And she's the only one who can read them,
Okay.
waiting for the right time to reveal what she knows.
Wow, the world government's worked so hard to keep that history buried. If she has that knowledge, she can start a revolution, overthrow the whole system.
It'd be incredible, but also kind of terrifying. Those poneglyphs, they could expose the world government, but they could also unleash ancient weapons, start a war unlike any we've seen.
It's like opening Pandora's box,
Yeah.
but on a historical scale. But while we're talking ancient secrets, don't forget that connection to Luffy's devil fruit. Ripley, the giant, he mentioned a warrior who looked like Leafy in Gear 5. Could there be a link between Nika, the sun god, and the ancient giants of Elbaf?
Ooh, that's a thought. We know giants have played a big part in the One Piece world's history, and now maybe their legends connect to Luffy's destiny. It's exciting, but also it feels like something big is coming.
It does, doesn't it? If it's true, Elbaf becomes even more important. It wouldn't just be a place of giants and stories. It would be the source of something, world-changing. And if not, Shanks is somehow tied to that ancient power. Man, the stakes just got higher.
We're barely scratching the surface with this chapter. Every new theory leads to a dozen more questions. It's amazing how Oda creates a story that's so complex with so many layers that it can make people come up with such different ideas.
That's what makes One Piece so special. It's not just a story. It's a whole world. A world we can explore, argue about, get lost in.
And with every chapter, it gets bigger. New mysteries, new challenges, endless possibilities.
So many questions still. Who is not Shanks? What secrets are hidden in that owl library? And how will all of this affect Luffy's journey?
One thing's for sure, this is just the start of something big, a new arc, a new adventure.
And we can't wait to see where it goes.
What about you guys? What stood out to you in this chapter? What are your theories? Keep the conversation going, because in the world of One Piece, every detail matters, and any theory could turn out to be true. So until next time, keep those eyes on the horizon, stay adventurous, and remember, the Grand Line is full of surprises. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into One Piece Chapter 11.